story of like the Phoenix Rising. But the reason why the Phoenix Rising story resonates with all of us, because that's what it does.
And he yelled at me and said something to me. And I'm like, pull over.
There's a part of us that tells us we need this and like this is living. But then you realize like I have amazing experiences in a tent.
I don't even know who I am anymore. Like I've totally lost myself.
All right, friends, today I have Melissa Vogel on the podcast. She is the creator and founder of The Bomb Mom. And I'm telling you, after listening to this conversation, you'll understand why. So have fun, learn a lot, and become the next bomb mom. All right, friends, today I have Melissa Vogel on the podcast. And I have been excited about this interview since we booked it because she's the bomb mom. And I know this because I had a conversation with her on her podcast. And now it's fun to do the reciprocal on mine. So Melissa, thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having me, Jen. I couldn't wait for this too. I'm excited.
So fun, but the vibe's the vibe. The vibe's the vibe. Okay, so I want to get back to this time in your life that's probably not the fun time to talk about, but it's still so important, is walking away from the big house and the marriage and all the toys and the identity that you were. Bring us there.
Oh, girl. Hardest time of my life. Like, talk about feeling like you visited hell and back. You know, and you second guess and you doubt everything because not only are you feeling this in the inside and you're like, what do I do? Am I making the right choice? But then you get like outside people's opinions, you know, and you're just told you're being wrong. But it was a marriage that I constantly asked throughout the marriage. And this was like red flag. Do you love me? Do you even love me? Are you still in love with me? And I was like, no woman should have to ask that at all, you know, let alone multiple times. But I knew I started learning my worth and my value a lot because the journey I was on with my own health and fitness journey and everything that I do. And I'm like, I'm not thriving. I am not growing. And the moment I knew that it needed to be done and over, I'll never forget, we got in this huge fight. We were driving home probably from like a dance competition or something. And he yelled at me and said something to me. And I'm like, pull over. And he pulled over in the Target parking lot and we had to go in anyways. He got out of the car and he went in, he just pulled up and I turned in the back seat and I looked at all three of my girls just sitting there watching. And I was like, don't ever let a man speak to you like that. And when the words came out of my mouth, I was like, I shouldn't have to say that. What kind of example am I setting right now? Like, what's going on? And that it was from that moment that I was like, I'm doing it. I'm following through. We're not continuing this. It's been 17 years of just feeling not loved, not valued, doing all of the emotional work, you know, and carrying the marriage. And everyone told me, like, even my therapist at the time, she's like, you know, a lot of women, they fall from grace. And I was like, what does that mean? Yeah, a lot of women fall from grace after divorce. And I'm like, okay, but so does that mean I stay so I don't? And that wasn't even true. That was like her opinion that she should have never said.
Never said, especially in her role.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Not okay.
Mm-mm. And I followed through right during COVID.
Oh my goodness. Oh,
We separated and it was COVID. It was like right when it started, literally March. We came back from Sundance Film Festival. I went to Sundance. It came back and the world just shut down. So we were separated, living in the same home. And then he was like, we're selling. And I'm like, oh, okay, we're doing it that fast. Okay. And I'm like, this is going to happen fast. I need time to like prepare and figure things out. And the house sold in one day.
what?
Not even 24 hours. And then, yeah. And he's like, you got 2 weeks. You got 2 weeks to get out. That's when I'm closing and we have to be out. And so I had to find a rental for me and my three girls in 2 weeks. But it was just so much self-doubt. And am I doing the right thing? Can I survive? Like, fear was just in my face the entire time.
Of course it is, because it's something entirely different. And there's so many layers to that whole piece because you have daughters, and I love the statement that you made, like, this is an example that I'm setting for them. Like my kids, I use them all the time from when I'm in hard decisions. I'm like, okay, if my kids were watching, what do I want them to do? And I need to do that. And I get so much strength and courage because I know they're watching.
And I did not want that relationship to be what my girls grew up with. Like, and I didn't want that to be their example and what they think is normal and how a man talks to you and treats you, and you're doing all the work. We, us women, we just pick it up and we carry it all, even in your relationship. And that's not true at all. But that divorce and going to hell and back, that literally led me to find myself as a female, as a mom, as a daughter, as a sister. Like it led me to where I was today, but I would have never found myself. I would never have expanded in my career and done all of the things that I've done over the last 4 years had I not visited the pits of hell and returned.
Right. I know. And it is interesting because it is that story of like the phoenix rising. And you wish there was another way to get there. But the reason why the phoenix rising story resonates with all of us, because that's what it does. Like, that's what it is. Like, there is, show me a shortcut, please. I'm all in. But it's just a different level.
Yeah. And it put me in a position where I didn't have a choice. Like, I can't turn back. What are you going to do? Like tell, your girls again, like, oh, well, mom changed her mind and we're going to stay because this is getting really scary and hard. Like, there was no turning back. I had no choice but to thrive and to keep moving forward and figure it out. And you know what? I go from this giant home and pool and lake and boat and toys and camper to a 3 bedroom 1,500 square foot rental. It's fine. And I made it work.
Right, right. But it's funny though, you do, right? Like when I got into mountaineering, I have 7 children, so I have to have a larger home. Okay. And you need room for people to have their tennis shoes in the back entry at bottom line. And I would go on these camping, like, you go to the mountains and you live in a tent and you have nothing, right? You brush your teeth and there's not even a mirror. There's like, it's so simple. And you come back to like living large like we do. And it just reminds you that you really don't, I mean, there's a part of us that tells us we need this and like this is living, but then you realize like I have amazing experiences in a tent in the middle of nowhere. Like, no, it's not. That is not, like, there's opportunities in all of it to have amazing experiences.
And it was all for show. I learned so much that it was like, it wasn't even about the things, it was just about the image that we were giving off to who.
Who? Right? I know, it's so funny, right? It's like, what was I even like? Who was I trying to do this for? What?
Yeah, it was just, I don't know, it just really gives you a whole different perspective of what's important and what's not. And I loved having my girls right there with me. We didn't have anywhere else to go, but
There's no hiding. You're in a bad mood. We're all gonna know it.
you either go to the kitchen, living room, or your bedroom. That's it. Those are your choices. That's all you get. But it brought us closer together. My relationship isn't, it's not the same with all of my kids anymore. They have seen me do things that I never thought they'd see me do. And I don't hide. I don't hide the fear. I don't hide the tears. I'm not brave all the time. I tell them when it's tough. I tell them when it's hard and I have to make hard decisions. And we just say family meeting, family meeting. I use those words and they're like, oh God, mom's got to talk to us. She said family meeting.
We have that at our house too. Luckily, I've like kind of learned that we need to make sure we do family meetings about happy things too, not just negative things. So it's not triggering an emotion before it even starts. So now we do family meetings on where we're going for vacation for the next big vacation. And then we'll do family meetings where it's like, we got to discuss some of the stuff that is not working. So
Yeah, we need to add in more happy family meetings for sure then.
oh, it's a thing. It's a thing. Okay, so you moved into the smaller place, you revamped your identity. And is that the start of Bomb Mom?
Bomb Mom was already going. Bomb Mom was already going before that. because I went online and stopped training in person before COVID hit, before it became like the thing everyone's going to do. So thank God I already had that established.
Seriously.
Thank God. And when I moved, I was in the process of like just redesigning, rebranding. And I'm like, oh my God, this was not the time to do this, but hey, screw it. We're doing it anyways. We're going to move forward. Um, but that experience allowed me to speak to women in a whole different way. You know, when I was present online, I had a voice and a power behind me that, I had before, but it just wasn't the same. And I had this confidence in myself, probably because I had to. I had to make it work. But I had this confidence now, and I'm like, we're unstoppable. We're going to grow this tribe and this community and this program, and no one's going to hold us back. And it just took off. And I'm like, holy crap, all I had to do was believe in myself.
Right. I have goosebumps. I have goosebumps right now.
Birds of a feather flock together. And I attracted the most amazing women that were in similar situations or married or whatever, but they were like at the point in their life where they're like, this needs to stop. This needs to change, whether it was with their weight loss journey, their mental health, they're leaving in a relationship too. We were all in the same place and growing of like, no more. I'm not settling. I'm picking up my life and I'm continuing on. And I'm like, that's what we do. We're going bomb.
Yes, I love it. I love it. I get all the feels just talking about it, because we do. I mean, it's such a gift to have that awareness finally say, okay, it's enough. This is enough. I'm not doing this anymore. Something's changing. And that energy with a tribe helps that change so much more than if we do it by ourselves.
It does. And people just don't get that. Until they experience it, I think they just are like, yeah, that sounds fun. It sounds very kumbaya and all. But I'm like, no, transformation happens when you're surrounded yourself with the people, like-minded people, and they're working towards the same goals too. But man, people are so afraid to step out into something scary and uncomfortable and unfamiliar. And I'm like, man, but when you do that, that's how you find the gold. That's how you get there.
Yeah, no, I know. And then the stories we tell ourselves, right? Like, I'm not a people person, or I'm kind of an introvert. I'm kind of whatever. I'm sorry, when you do big things, you need a big team. When you climb a big mountain, the bigger the mountain, the bigger the team is. And it's just the reality of it. It's just so hard to keep the energy and the momentum and the check ins by yourself.
Yes. And that, when people are taking on big things with their life and they're transforming, whether it's you got to lose 30 pounds or like you're just living this, hamster wheel life of just work, kids, sports, repeat, home, dinner, pizza on Fridays. Ooh, we get the weekend. Like, and it's just this life of, I don't know, unsatisfactory, like just being kind of stagnant. And then the weight comes on and then you're feeling anxious and depressed. Transforming all of that and getting out of that, that's a really big like process and journey. And this is why women fail. This is why women make it so far and they like lose the weight and they get better and then they gain it all back. They don't have anyone leading them. They're not. I always think of like, I don't know if you guys tie each other together on a mountain.
Yeah. 100%. We're all roped off. Yes.
Like that's how I picture it, like going up a mountain on this journey and like it's okay if you fall, we're going to know. We're going to help you get right back up. You can't see, a lot of crap's going on. Everyone's got the flu. The world shuts down again. It's okay. We're all tied together. We're all still going up.
Community, community, community. It's so important. And then in my book, right, Quit Proof, one of the big things is owning your awesome. And just you have to own who you are and all the amazing things about you, because that's when you feel authentic joy. It's just like, this is who I am. Okay, maybe it doesn't fit society's whatever. That's okay. Like, I'm not supposed to. There's a reason we all have our own fingerprints and eye colors and all the different things.
Well, I love that you say that because as especially females and like little girls, we're not taught that. We're taught like sit there and be pretty. We want you to speak up, but not too much. We want you to do good, but not too good. And as we get older, it seems to get worse because it's like, oh, good for you. I'm so proud of you. But like, don't do better than me. Like I experienced that with my own family. And it's like, so I just sit here and be pretty. Like Like
There's more.
I can be fit, but not too fit. Like where do we go? And then we grow up and we're like, well, I can't say anything about how awesome I did at my job or, the success I had because then people will think I'm bragging. And I don't want anyone to think I'm like full of myself.
Yeah, well, I think there's a whole generation that needs a little bit more full of themselves. And it's not my 16-year-old son's generation, okay?
But it's just so sad, and I see women like struggle with that all the time, and I'm constantly pushing people like, did you have a win today? What was it? That's freaking awesome. Like, why aren't you telling anyone? Well, I didn't want to make anyone else feel bad. I'm like, screw that. No. We have to normalize like loving our awesomeness, like, and owning it, like you said, like that has to just become normal. And I'm so happy that you have that in your book and we have that like tool to reference too. And
Like, here's the deal. Like, I get motivated when I see people doing amazing things. I'm like, okay, well, if she can do it, then I'm going to do it. We give each other permission by owning it ourselves. And then it just elevates the bathwater for everybody.
and without that, we all stay down here.
Right. And none of us are happy down there. We're all meant to shine. So own your awesome, ladies. Listen in, own your awesome.
Please put that on a t-shirt.
Yeah, you have t-shirts and tank tops. You need to add it to the list.
No, that one's yours. You need that one. And then the name of your book across the back.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so you and I are similar because we both love challenges. You have a challenge coming up. So talk to us about challenges, why you do them, what's the benefit, all the things.
Oh yeah, I love running these challenges because they're short. They're 30 days, so it's totally doable. It doesn't like, blow your mind like, oh my God, I got to accomplish this in 1 week, or oh my God, I got to do this and like commit for 9 months. The challenges that I run are a great way to get your feet wet because when you can take a big, like you got 40 pounds to lose or whatever, you got this ultimate big goal, when you can just break it down into the bite-sized pieces and just take those small steps, that's what's going to lead you into the success. Not like, okay, balls to the wall, here we go. Like, break it down a little bit. And that's why I love doing the challenges because it's 30 days. You get to experience like a little bit of what Bomb Mom life is like. So we put you in a smaller group. You get the app, you get the workouts, you get bite-sized pieces of me because I can be a lot to handle sometimes. And we take you through like, let's start practicing moving. Let's start practicing a little bit of mindset work, a little bit of visionary stuff. Let's start practicing doing your workouts at home or at a gym. And women are always like, oh my God, I needed that. I just needed these little pushes every day. And by the time they get to the end of the month, they're like, oh my God, I did it. I did it. And I'm starting to change and I want more. I think I can do this again, or I think I can go next level now. I'm like, yes, yes.
Yes, you can. I promise. You can. You can. Yeah, that's awesome. No, I love little challenges. I do mine for 40 days. I don't know. I'm not even that religious, but from like the Bible, there's like all the transformation happens in 40 days. So I'm like, we're doing 40 days, 40 days of Lent, 40 days of Advent, like blah, 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 blah. And it's just, it gives me something to I do it for myself and I share it with my community because I need the accountability. And it's like gives me something to focus on. And then I know like it's not overwhelming because it's not forever. Okay, here's what I'm going to focus on. I'll learn something new because I learn something new every time I do it. And it's just, yeah, it's how my brain works. I need those little sprints because everything feels like a marathon at times.
Yeah. I love that you admitted too that like you need the accountability too. Like I think people, I don't know if they forget that or just think that we can just do it all on our own. And I'm like, no, dude, I use my program and like my community just as much as you guys do, even though I run it.
I know, 100%. Okay, so here's something that I found has been my superpower, and I'm wondering how you teach it to your people. When I fail, I'm actually nice to myself. I'm actually really kind to myself. And I got that from working with a therapist once. And she said, hey, when you break a bone, you don't go yelling at that bone. You don't go like, oh, I can't believe you did that, blah, 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 blah. You put it in a cast. You take better vitamins. You take care of it. And so then that bone can grow back stronger and be a part of what you need it to do for the rest of your life. And that like little story changed me forever because I'm the first person to be critical of myself and do all these, whatever. I can spin negative very fast. And I remind myself, I'm like, oh, that was a break. A break I need to nurture, not berate. And so when you're doing these challenges, I'm sure like people misstep or make mistakes. It's the human experience of making mistakes.
Absolutely.
How do you help them through that?
That is one of the things that we tackle like right away. And I'm just upfront with everyone, and people aren't always expecting that because I'm like, girl, you're gonna fail. Like, let's just be real. There's gonna be failures throughout this whole journey. But as a bomb mom, we learn how to repurpose that failure. So if you had a bad week, if you fell off the track and you're like, oh, I just went into effort mode and I got McDonald's last night and like whatever. Okay. But you didn't just fail and drive through the drive through. Like use that. Like what happened during the day? And it come to find out like she had the craziest day at work. She didn't pack any snacks. She didn't pack or have a plan for lunch or dinner, So she basically was like starving. And when you go into starvation mode and you're like, oh my God, I'm so hungry, you go into effort mode and then you're like, this is what we're going to eat. And you know what? I haven't had any calories anyway, so it's not going to really hurt or matter that much. And I'm like, so look at that. You didn't just find yourself there and be like, oh, I'm failing. Look at how awful I'm doing. You had a whole day behind you that led to this decision. This is really good. And they're like, what? No, it's really good that you went through McDonald's drive through because now we know what led you here. We have a whole day. So tomorrow, drink more water, hydrate. Let's add some electrolytes in there, not just sticking to water. Let's make sure you have a snack in there. Let's make sure you actually take your lunch break and you tell everyone to hold because the company of the world, no one's going to die. If you're like, I need an hour to myself that I actually am supposed to take anyways. And let's use that. Let's change all these steps. And you're going to have a whole different outcome for the evening. Whereas most people, they fail. And then the next day they're like, oh, screw it. I already had that last night. What's the point of me working out today? I already got off track. I'll do it on Monday. I'll get back on Monday. And they push it off. They don't stop and be like, okay, but what led me to fail? What led this? And we just repurpose it. And before you know it, you're turning that failure into fuel and you're learning and you're never going to become amazing at all and succeed unless you have the failures.
Right. I love that. And I love how you're like helping them say that this wasn't a one decision. This was like 10 decisions that dominoed that led to this last decision that was the big enough decision for you to be like, oh, here's the break, right? The other ones were just little like paper cuts. Well, you get enough paper cuts, all of a sudden it adds up to something that needs more attention.
Yep, exactly. But people don't stop and like collect that data. They don't look at it that way because we're so hard on ourselves. We're so hard on ourselves, and no one takes the time to just learn and look at that. And in Bob Mom, we're always reevaluating the month before. Like that's what everyone had homework the other day. I'm like, I know we're in September, but we're not letting August go. Like, what month are we in? Everyone go back and take a look at August. How did you win? How did you fail? Did you have a goal and you didn't like set it, or you didn't set it right? Or like, did you not have habits in place that were going to lead you to succeed? Like reevaluate. Don't just say, oh my God, I'm going to let that go. Or yay, I did that. Or boo, I was awful. And it's a new month. Like stop saying it's a new month and a new time to start. Like go back, revisit it, use that as fuel to move forward.
There it was, the drop right there. There's the magic. But it is so true for all of us to reflect, to gain progress, to have momentum go. We need to see where we came from and see where are we fracturing so that we don't keep doing that same thing. You heal that one thing, it's amazing how much that can have a ripple effect on other areas of your life.
Yeah. And we just have that. I don't know if it's our generation or our parents, but we have that mentality of like, you just keep going. You pick yourself up by your bootstraps and you just like go for it. And it's like, okay, yeah, that's cool to an extent. And I need to use that sometimes in my life, but I've had to learn how to be gentle to myself. I had to like really learn to slow down, collect the data, rest and recover when you need it. Like that for me and how I was raised and growing up, that was not instilled in me. It was like, you sleep when you're dead. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, fair. Okay. No, when I was in triathlon, I was like, you measure everything, right? They measure everything, your heartbeat, your resting heartbeat, when you wake up, what's going on, blah, 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 blah. And I was not recovering. And my coach made me look at my plan. I'm like, well, yeah, I don't like the days that I do nothing. She's like, those are active days. Active days doing nothing. Do you see how your entire system is not recovering at all? So your performance is going downhill instead of uphill. And when she used the word active recovery, all of a sudden I was like, okay, this is an active thing to do nothing because I feel so much more comfortable doing than being. Yeah. Yeah. It was it was definitely performance, and tracking all those numbers allowed me to see it and understand it at a new level than before. It's like conceptual. And then you're like, oh, this is really how it works.
I have to like force the women in my program to recover with me now. I do like a live on Wednesday nights. We just had it last night, and we do stretching and yoga and foam rolling, and we do it on Zoom, and we all gather, and I'm teaching them how to do it and stuff. And all the new people are so cute because they come in and they're like, oh, Wednesday night workout with Melissa, and all the people are like, oh, no, 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 we're not doing kickboxing with her or lifting. I'm like, I kick your butt in your app. You're going to sit with me and block out the world for an hour, and you are going to stretch. And they're like, well, how many calories do you think we'll burn? I'm like, oh, new people, no, 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 it's not about that. It's about recovering, escaping, stretching, and that's important too. And then do we work out after? No.
It's Wednesday. It's recovery day. Okay. I know, but it takes a while. I mean, believe you me, my coach would say recover, and I would be like, yeah, I just won't put that workout in. I won't wear my watch.
I'll just hide it.
I'm just cheating, and I'm not going to tell her because I don't want to get yelled at. Because what? I mean, it's just so funny, the dynamics that we put ourselves in. I'm like, I'm paying her to be my coach, and I'm going to hide from her. Come on.
I know.
Come on. Okay. So Bomb Mom starts taking off at a whole new level. You start building your confidence again because you took care of you. You owned your awesome, and you said, hey, I need a different relationship in my life. And you attracted a different relationship in your life, which is like really exciting. So tell us about that, because I don't know, sometimes I feel like everybody thinks they're going to leave and then they're done and they're single for life and that's their life sentence because they made a mistake and whatever, round one didn't work.
That's so true. And then people just stay in that relationship. They just settle because they're like, I'm going to be alone for the rest of my life. Yeah, I met my boyfriend now at a mutual friend's house, like a pool party on the 4th of July. And I live in a private gated community on a lake here in California, and 4th of July is huge. Like everyone's on the water. It's like party city. There's literally like a group that's called Canyon Lake Gone Wild. It's insane. And that year I was like, I want nothing to do with Canyon Lake. Like nothing to do with it. And this mutual friend, she was like, oh, come to my pool party. She lives 30 minutes away, and she's like, there's someone here that really wants to meet you. She's like, he's kind of been following you. And I'm like, that's creepy. And she's like, no, he's super sweet, come meet him. I'm like, oh my god, okay, I'm not ready for this, but like, okay. So I go there, and it was fun. I didn't know anyone. It's like 120 degrees, and yeah, so I'm like, I'm just gonna stay in the pool, like this is happening. And then this guy walks in, and I'm like, damn. And he was alone. I'm like, hello, and I'm like, wow, she really knows my type. And I'm sitting there, and I'm talking with the other girls and stuff, and I'm kind of talking with him. Like I eventually made my way over that way, and we just kind of had small talk. And then like this other guy comes up, and he's talking with me, and blah blah blah. Long story short, the guy that walked in was not the guy that she wanted me to meet. This other guy that came up and talked to me was the one that was like, oh, I wanted to meet you, and I'm like, yeah, you are so not my type. I think I could bench press you. Yeah, so the whole guy though, she was like, come and meet him. That wasn't even him. And I ended up hitting it off with the other guy who is now my boyfriend, and we're coming up on 3 years. And it's so nice to be with someone other than This is going to sound weird, but other than like your dad, because we find relationships that were like, oh my God, I married my father and I didn't know it. And then I didn't realize I married my dad until I was going through it and I was like, oh,
And once you have the aha moment and you can't unsee it, it's so bad.
can't unsee it. And I thought for sure I married the opposite of my dad. Nope, married the same man. Like, and then like the relationship I like was in after my divorce and like when like kind of dating, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm just with the same emotionally unavailable man. He just looks different, he dresses different.
Different name, same person. Yes.
And I had to do a lot of work. I had to do a lot of work to be in the relationship that I'm in right now on myself and not self sabotage and see that I was worth the love that he was showing me. And like, he thinks I'm awesome. And I'm like, what? Like, that's crazy to accept.
What? I don't even know what to do with this. Like, what does this mean? How do I make this even? How do I pay you back? Like, how do I level it out?
Yeah. And initially, my body, my brain's like, run, retreat, get out. You don't deserve this. Leave, you know? So I've had to do a lot of work and really learn to accept that love and that life and a relationship like that that works. So, but it's been amazing. I just adore the man, and I love that we can podcast together. He's come on the show a couple times, and we can go and roll and do jujitsu together, and then hike a mountain, and then just rest and recover hard too.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah. And I would have missed it. I would have missed all of that and never found I always call him like, you're my one and only. I would have missed my one and only.
Oh, good for you because you left a long relationship, right? I mean, long, 17 years you said, right?
Yeah, we were married. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's so I just want to highlight that because I have a lot of friends that are in these situations right now and they're trying to decide what do I do? And it's good to share stories of people who had the courage to make the move and see the ending that worked out. And understand that guess what? There's work before the next stage comes.
Yeah. And if you're the only one doing the work in the relationship and you're the only one trying to have the hard conversations or going to therapy or like those are all red flags. You know, just speaking to that woman like in there and questioning yourself, like the fact that you're questioning it is a sign right there, you know. And if you've been the one that has always just emotionally carried the relationship, always doing the work, putting in the effort, like those are all red flags that I just ignored. And it was crazy because I didn't really see it until my kids got a little older, till they left like the toddler stage and they weren't like always on me, or I wasn't like always breastfeeding someone, and they got a little bit more older and independent. And then I'm like, wow, those kids were just fulfilling my need for love, you know? Yeah, I was just avoiding it, and I was just, "Oh, I'll just have another baby. I need love. I'll just have another baby, and like that baby will love me." And then they're like getting older, and then I'm like, "Wait, hold on. What's going on? What's missing?" And like I'm not getting the love that I deserve in this relationship. And you know, my therapist had told me at one point, she was like, "People show you who they are, and people can change for sure, but their traits and their character and like who they are, that's who they are and that will never change." I'm like, "Oh. Oh. Well, then this is never going to change."
I give people more benefit of the doubt. They'll change. They'll change.
And some people can and they will, but like your traits and like deep inside your character, I was like, "Oh yeah, that person's going to always be who they are."
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so when people start your programs, what do you find are the biggest things that they come to you for in the beginning?
Oh, that's a good one. Uh when cuz I like just had 5 conversations like this yesterday. Women feel lost. And it's usually their body that leads them to realize this.
Okay, because their body's showing them like, hey, obviously something's not working because this isn't how you want to look.
Nailed it. That body leads them to realize like things are a mess all over the place because they see the extra weight, their pants don't fit them right. So many women this summer didn't wear shorts. They hate their legs that much. And they're like, I didn't wear shorts all summer. I'm like, oh, girl, no, 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 no. I know. Isn't that the saddest thing? And people are going to be listening and they'll be like, that's me. Like, I don't wear shorts because I hate my legs.
Okay, so if you're listening and you don't wear shorts, okay, Melissa's here. She's gonna help us all wear shorts again. I'll be there with you.
You deserve shorts. You deserve shorts.
They made it for a reason.
Yeah. And it's hot. It was freaking hot this summer. We like had record breaking heat. These poor women, but that body makes them realize that like I'm hiding in pictures. I'm not being active with my kids. I'm having sex with the lights off all the time or avoiding it altogether. I'm miserable. I'm anxious. I'm depressed. I don't even know who I am anymore. Like I've totally lost myself either in motherhood or motherhood and my career, in my marriage, and I don't have an identity beyond this and all that's leading up, and then the weight gain comes on and their hormones are a mess because they're so stressed, which then makes it's like this vicious cycle, and they're just like I need help with everything, especially my mindset, especially with my waistline. But that that weight and that body is usually the first thing that is the wake up call for women to realize like how many other things inside and outside in their environment are a mess and not together.
And what would cause, so then when someone like finally says, I'm lost and I'm willing to get help, right? Then they enter your program and then maybe they start by the 30-day challenge, or maybe they start with the app and do something different. What is normally like the first, what's normally the things that trip them up in the beginning? Because there's always something, right, that is going to trigger them. And then how do you keep them from going back to their own ways? Because those trigger points give us a chance to either progress forward or like fall back.
Oh, that is such a good question. So when you jump into like the main program and you're like, I'm in, I'm doing Busy to Bomb Fit Mom, the first 30 days, I don't even put you in the main program. We literally like build your car before you enter the race. So that right there really helps because you're going to learn, we're going to change, we're going to practice. The biggest thing that trips women up. So this is how I explain it to people when we do like our onboarding call. Like everyone drives this bus, right? So picture your bus, you're in the driver's seat. And in every single row is a different version of you. So you got the 13-year-old you, the 20-year-old you, the you that's a new mom after you just had your first baby, the 16-year-old you that's like a hellion. Like all these different versions of you are in this driver's seat. And then in the driver right now is your person A, who you are right now. Right. And she's like, oh my God, this is bad. I got to keep these people out of the driver's seat. We're going along. I need help. And okay, I see light. I see a tunnel. I'm going to do Bomb Mom. We're going to go down this path. Okay, great. And then it gets hard. And then it gets bumpy. And then you're like, oh my God, I can't keep this on the road. And that self-doubt kicks in. And they're like, I don't know if I can do this because Melissa's making me think of like deep stuff in my mindset. And she's got me lifting weights. And this is really hard, and you start doubting yourself. You haven't created a new person. We call it your person B. You haven't created your person B yet and who you want to become. So you don't have anyone else to take over in that driver's seat yet. And so the old you is just constantly like self-doubting, like wants to escape. Maybe I should quit. Maybe I should get out. And I have to constantly remind people, it's okay. The old you, our brain loves what's familiar. So we're taking you out of your comfort zone. It's not familiar. That old you just wants to drive this bus off a cliff right now. It's okay. We're going to keep working on building a new person that can take over. So we have to be aware of old thoughts, old habits, old behaviors, and when they creep up. And sometimes that's someone else jumping the seat of the bus and getting in the driver's seat. And it's like the 20-year-old you that's like, oh my God, I've done no work on myself and this is hard and we're going to go drink. So we have to be careful. And I tell them, we are working on that new person. We are working on her mama. Like, so be patient, be careful. And pretty soon she'll be able to get into that driver's seat. And in the meantime, I'm just going to be there. I'm going to be your co-captain. I'm going to believe in you enough until you're ready to take over and your environment and your team. So that who they are now, she's so strong. Like that person A.
Right. She doesn't want to give up the driver's seat. She doesn't want to go sit in the back of the bus. She's like, I want to keep driving.
She's rolling down the windows. She's like, yeah, we're going to change. I'm totally going to take this bus on a nice, clear path. And we're like, you say it, but
Oh, that's so good. I love that analogy. I use an analogy like that with my kids when they get into bad moods. I'll be like, okay, there's a lot of moods in your head. So whoever is in your head right now has the microphone. So do you think you've listened to that microphone enough? Let's ask self-doubt to go sit down and maybe give the microphone to whoever thinks you're awesome in your head. What would that person say if they had the microphone and their job was to tell you they're awesome? If we just like go through, we just like, who has the microphone? And it's so funny because sometimes you wonder if it ever clicks in with your kids. And the other day I'm listening to my son talking to a friend. Well, who has the microphone in your head? My mom tells us we have to give the microphone to somebody else. I know. It is. It's all the little versions of us that need to be seen and heard and appreciated, and then, yeah, bring it all together.
It's so cool to hear our kids say the crazy stuff that comes out of our mouths to like other people and to use it because you're like, oh, they're listening. They don't always show it, but they are listening at some point.
Yeah, like, keep saying that in front of other people. They'll think I'm a good mom. Good job.
They'll think I am rocking this motherhood thing.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so all of us listening that want to be the bomb mom, this is where we go because it's not just about fitness, which is what I love about you. It really is the mindset and how we approach ourselves and where we value ourselves, and then allowing that to show up in these fitness environments and shift the whole story, which shifts the whole body, which shifts our entire experience. And we get to be bomb moms.
That's right. That's right. It's time. Everyone deserves to be bomb.
It's time. Life's too short to not be bomb mom all the time. Okay, so how does everybody find you?
Yeah, you can go to my website, melissavogelfitness.com. You can also book a call with me. We put all the links on there and stuff because this isn't for everyone. You know, a lot of people just want the Band-Aid, and I'm not the Band-Aid. So I do a 15-minute call with everyone. Ask me questions. I'll ask you questions. We'll see if it's a fit. Or my coaches will do the calls too. And it's just a good way to make sure that you're not wasting your time. You're not wasting my time. You're not wasting money, energy, effort. Like, this is what you're in. This is what you're getting. And it just helps clear everything up. And then follow me on Instagram too. It's Melissa Vogel because I show all the mess on there.
You do. I love it though. It's like so refreshing and authentic. You're like, okay, at least I'm normal. I look at your stuff and I feel normal afterwards, and that's a win. So thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, guys, you know where to find her. I highly recommend her. I am so impressed. So thank you, Melissa, for your time today.
Oh, thanks for having me on, Jenn.